This is the 15th edition that I'm working out of, and we're going to get you through the principles class, even if you're trying to go through the principles class on an online course. So I'm going to help you so that you understand everything you need to understand, and that when you're ready to go, you'd come and take my crash course and pass your California real estate exam. Now, I will say, we've had lots of students from other states pass their real estate exam from watching our video. So feel free, if you're not from California, to go ahead and watch this. And then if you read your material and you're like, hey, I don't know if that's for California, if it's for I'm in Tennessee, whatever I'm at, thank you for the thumbs up. Go ahead and you can put a comment in there, and I answer the comments as fast as I can and try to help you guys out. So now I highlight my book. So this is what I did this morning, and I'm trying to get through this whole landlord tenant chapter. And it's interesting because I go to, or I don't go to them, I've gone to one or two of them where you go to these places where people pay $150 to take a class, and then after they take the class, they talk them into a $2,000 class, which talks them into a $5,000 class. And then they say that they're going to go ahead and help you invest to buy property after you spend all this money with them. And then guess what you find out? You don't learn anything. So I tell people, if you really want to buy property, hire a real estate agent like me, learn from me, get your license, and then do it yourself, right? So anyway, we're on page 176 of chapter 6, and we're talking about leases. And it says ground lease is the one that we're on right now. That's not on the state exam, but a ground lease is for the exclusive use and possession of a particular parcel of land. So you're just leasing the land to do whatever you need to do on it. The next one down is graduated lease. And what I highlighted was a I can't even say it, graduated. I can't say it. Gradulated. I don't know why I can't say it. That's so weird. Anyway, I said it the first time, so that's good. This type of lease is for a varying rental rates. So it's often based for future determination, such as periodic appraisals. And they also call it, the main thing that you have to know in the book is it's called a stair-step lease. So the graduated, there I said it, lease equals stair-step lease, okay? So going on to the gross lease, a gross lease is gross. A gross lease is on income property. And gosh, I'm so glad you guys all joined tonight. You know what? If I knew you guys were all going to join at night, you know what I do? I just do it at night. Maybe I'll do it at night. But see, the whole reason I don't do it at night is normally we teach the class. We teach how to pass your real estate exam and your broker's exam. We teach that in the evening from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So my goal was to come on every day at 4 o'clock and do from 4 to 5, and then do our class from 6 to 9:30. But if I can, I'll just kind of try to get on later for you guys on the weeks I don't teach. So teaching is really important because we help all our brokers pass. We just had another broker pass today. Super fun, right? And she's telling everybody about it, so my phone was going crazy. That's what took me so long to get on today. So the gross lease, the lessee, remember lessee is the renter, lessor is the owner of the home. Anytime you want to think about who is it, OR at the end of the word is the person who owns the property. If you're talking, except for if you're talking about option or and option E, when you're going back and forth on counter offers, because the person who authors it is the OR, they own it, okay? And then they give it to the seller, and the seller becomes the offeree. But if the seller counter offers you, the seller becomes the offeror, and the buyer becomes the offeree. So you have to know that for the California state exam, and probably for any exam. So back to the gross lease. With the gross lease, that's income property. And with the gross lease, highlight in your book if you get this book. So the book might be cheaper again. When I first started using this book, it was like 16 bucks on Amazon. And then when people started buying the book, it went up to $85. So you might want to check now because I haven't been teaching out of it for a while. And I'm sorry, but life happens, right? So anyway, the graduated lease provides, you would highlight the graduated lease provides, and then the graduated lease was the stair-step lease, so you would highlight stair-step lease. Going down to the gross lease, I highlighted income property. Hi and welcome. And the lessor pays only the rental fee for the use of the property. So that says gross lease. Going on to the net lease is on the California state exam, and the net lease is where the leasee, that's the tenant, actually has to pay for expenses for the owner. So what I would highlight there is the net lease is where the leasee, that's a tenant, pays highlight the property taxes. That's crazy, right? The property taxes, insurance, and other operating costs in addition to their rent payments, and it's commonly used for stores. Well, we just did a lease in a property in Irvine, and the gross lease pays for the property taxes, the water bill, and the gardener. So on this triple net lease, it says the three things for the triple net in case. So on the state exam, the California state exam, it says that the net lease, it says a net lease is where you're paying for additional items. It doesn't spell them out. But on the triple net, if you're doing a triple net, it's property taxes, fire and hazard insurance, and other assessments of operating income. So the lessor highlight lessor benefits from the net lease because it generates a fixed income. And then we have the percentage lease, and the percentage lease is on your California state exam. The percentage lease is a commercial retail sales. So I got to tell you, I'll just tell you about what happened to me with a percentage lease. So when my brother and I started our mortgage company, so we started our mortgage company in 1989. And yeah, I know, I was like 5, I think. Anyway, my younger brother. And we started the mortgage company, and we rented on a normal lease. And we rented in an office building. And it was $1,800 a month for 1,800 square feet. So it was $1 a square foot. And we were right across the street from the Brea Mall. And then when Christmas came, I looked at my brother and I'm like, you know, we really need to be in the mall. We should start our own mortgage store. Call it the mortgage store. I thought that was a really good idea. Somebody eventually did that, but they didn't do it in the mall. So he goes, well, why don't you go over to the mall and find out how much it would cost to do that? So the first thing they tell me is to rent a space in the Brea Mall was like $4,000 a month. So it's literally $2,200 more for less space. And I'm like, that's not good. She goes, but that's not it. It's a percentage lease. And I go, what do you mean? And she goes, well, we get a percentage of your gross sales. And how I remember that and how I help my students remember it is that's pretty gross. Because, I mean, think about it. When you do a loan, let's say you make $7,000 on the loan. You're not selling clothes. You make $7,000 on a loan, and they get a percentage of your gross sales before you have to split it up with the loan officer who gets a percentage of that too. And so, yeah, to say the least, we didn't do a percentage lease. So that's how it works. They get a flat fee plus a percentage of your gross sales. How I make you guys remember that is that's gross, right? They're like a business partner with you, and they didn't even deserve to be a business partner with you. Okay, so I need another thumbs up if you guys can do that for me. And if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe because you'll learn so much stuff from me. So anyway, and I do have all those other social media websites, but pretty much when I do something here, I go and I just reiterate it at the other places. But this is where you learn the most. So the percentage lease payments are based upon the month, and I would highlight monthly gross income receipts with a fixed minimum retail price. Other types of leases and property issues, consumer price index. You always hear that on the news or when you're listening to money markets, consumer price index. And the consumer price index is a governmental indicator, also called the cost of living index, that shows changes in the cost of living from period to period. As one of the largest expenses for consumers, I would highlight this, housing expenses are one of the largest denominators used when calculating the CPI, okay? Thank you for that thumbs up, I really appreciate it. Leases are often tied to the CPI so that rents will adjust to give the lessor the same relative purchasing power from the rents during the period of inflation, except in California. So supposedly you're supposed to be able to raise your rents as the cost of living is going up so that you can help the landlord who's helping you live in a property. But in California, our legislators need to pull their heads out because if you piss us landlords off too much, maybe they'll hear this. If you piss us off too much, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and sell our properties to foreign investors who don't move into the properties, don't rent them out, and then there's not going to be any properties for people to rent or to buy. So, or to just a big investment company that's just going to take over. So I'm a mom and pop landlord. Us mom and pop landlords need to be treated in a way that we still want to keep our income property, or we'll just 1031 tax exchange them right out of California. And then you can see what you'll do with no properties available. We already have a housing shortage. So be nice to your landlords, right? Sorry, I went off on that. Back to what we were doing. You could always fast forward stuff if you don't like it. So long-term commercial leases generally include an escalator clause. So if you have a long-term lease, God, these words, escalator clause, whereby the rents increase with inflation. So you got to watch out for those commercial buildings, And if you want to do commercial real estate, it actually is really fun, but it all depends on how many people you know that are starting businesses. The most frequently used standard index for making commercial leases adjust with inflation is the Consumer Price Index for wage earners and clerical work earners. Okay. License. Now, I saw this today and I'm like, I don't have that in my exam prep, but I'm pretty sure it was on my test. And my test was in 1986. So I got to round this up pretty soon because we try to only go about 10 minutes every time we teach so that you guys don't get inundated with information. Now, remember, if you're ready to take your exam prep, you're going to take your exam. Our class is not going to be this weekend because it's and I'm not supposed to date these videos, but we are at the Easter time, so oh well. But anyway, we're not having a class this weekend, but we're having class starting on Monday night. So it's Monday through Thursday from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and our students pass because I teach them the material. I don't just give you some stupid way to try to get past the exam. And learning the material is good for everybody, especially knowledge is power when you're out there in the real estate industry. So a license, I would have you highlight license in this book, is personal. It's your own license. You own it. And it's non-ownership rights to use personal or real property for a specific period of time. You have to know that a license is non-transferable. Got that? Hi, how you doing? Hi, Elena, how you doing? Anyway, so it's non-transferable and it can be revoked. So licenses are non-transferable, and that's what they're talking about when they're talking about like a liquor license. And non-transferable and revocable. Think of it as like a ticket to a movie theater. That's what it says. And God, we're almost at time, but I really want to jump into the rest because we're so close. After this page, we only have the contract that you can look at in this book, but then we have questions and answers, and we're actually going to go. Well, we actually have the summary. The summary is really, really good. So tomorrow night when I do the summary, you want to be here. The summary is really good. I highlighted it already. So we'll start on page 177 at the end. And I mean, we try to get through like a page and a half a day. But you know what? God, I want to do this page just to get rid of it. Let's just do it. So anyway, with the ever-growing number, so I'm on page 177, with the ever-growing number of real estate brokers, because they're all passing because of us, myself and my business partner, real estate brokers are now functioning as real property managers. That's one thing if you get your real estate license. If you love property management and you want to help people, you can make good money in it if you do the right things. So a property manager is a license. I would highlight this once you get the book. A property manager is a licensed real estate professional who is paid to oversee property management and operations of rental and commercial properties. The ultimate responsibility for the maintenance of an apartment building, though, lies on the owner. Because if the property management, usually the property management people have people that they hire to do the maintenance on the properties. Aw, thank you so much. So thanks for helping you pass your sales exam. Congratulations. That's so awesome. Yay. I love it. Next, you got to pass your broker's exam. So we're pumping up the broker's class and helping brokers, and they're just passing like crazy. So let me know how you're doing with your real estate, and let me know where you're located. Put it in the comments and I'll comment back to you. I love that. Thank you so much. Thumbs up, you guys. Keep doing the thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, you got to subscribe. I got to keep asking. So anyways, so I want to get through this thing. It says property manage. Oh, and by the way, the person who just passed your test, or when you pass, that's the plan. San Bernardino. Oh my God, you're so close. So, I do loans. I have a loan division that I help you guys do that. And when I pre-qualify, when I talk to a borrower about a loan, I do it on Zoom. And if your borrower will allow you to listen, I allow the real estate agent to be on the Zoom call with me when I pre-approve their client. That way, if you learn what I do, then literally what I do is I pre-qualify them on a phone call. While I'm talking to them, I find out everything they want about a home. So you're taking notes about that. And then you do a Zoom call with them and show them the homes that are available to them. And literally the last 8 houses I sold on the first time I went out. I don't go out more than about 2 or 3 times. So I will coach you and help you if you give me your loans. That it's not a referral thing. It's just, hey, I'll help you if you help me. I think it's really cool. Anyway, because I'm all about helping people. In fact, I got really into this. I don't even want to tell that you guys that. It's really cool. It's a community where everybody pitches in, and it's not a cult. It's called the Anna Communities, ANANA. And there's one up in Sacramento, and it's a retreat. And I want to retreat that. Anyway, let's keep going because I don't want to go too far off base. But all I want to do is people helping people. That's all that matters. Hey, Sharon, what is the book you're using right now? I'm preparing to take the classes. Okay, okay, so it's this. It's Walt Hubbard's, and it's principles, and it's super easy. And the phone number is 626-339-7733. But we have seen it when I haven't been, whenever I slow down and I'm not teaching for a while, people find it on Amazon for like $15 to $18. But like right now, because I'm starting to teach again, they might up the price because the algorithm allows it to up the price. Kind of not very fair, but what do you do? So I would try Amazon, and it's called Principles 15th Edition by Walt Huber, Huber. Okay, going on. It says, I know you do prep courses. Okay, so I hope that these comments go in the comment area, and I'll answer them for you later. But anyway, I want to finish this page 177 so that we can start, because tomorrow, okay, the next few pages, 78 and 79, all the way over to 82 is just the copy of the lease contract. So tomorrow we can do 82 and the summary, and then we'll be done with chapter 6 and we can go to chapter 7. But anyway, let's finish this page. You guys are so fun. I love that you're talking and communicating with me. Anyway, so the ultimate responsibility of the property is us landlords. But when you have a great property manager, they have great connections on who can fix what really cheap. So for instance, I manage my own properties, but there's a guy that's president. So I'm very involved with my association. I was president last year, and I'm 1 year past president. So my current president-elect, so he's not president now, he's a property manager. And I called him when I had a water problem because my renter said, you know, the water heater, I think it broke, it's not working. I'm like, my first thought was $2,500. And then I thought to myself, no, it's going to be $150 because I manifested $150. And I called him and I'm like, hey, Peter, do you know somebody that can do a water heater? And he's like, what's wrong? And I told him, he goes, you got to call this guy. It's his guy. And I got to find his guy because this guy's good. And I call him and he's like, I can be there in an hour. An hour later, he calls me. I go, how much? And he goes, I figured it out. It's $150. So it was $150 to fix my water heater. So property managers have good contacts of handymen and people that know what they're doing. And that's why you want to have a property manager or know somebody who has a connection. Connections are the best thing in the whole world. Anyway, so the ultimate responsibility is the owner of the property. Property managers must be so familiar with rent control laws in their city because rent control laws can make or break. I'm trying to read you guys. It says, so same book for the broker's exam. Yes. Okay, so the question, when you're going for the brokers versus the sales, the difference is there's about 12% broker questions versus sales questions. And what we do when the brokers sign up for our class is they take our same class, but we give them an extra booklet. And I'm working on a new video for the brokers for the additional items. And if you're really good, we'll give you a free vocabulary if you sign up for the brokers. I just said that because one of the girls that just passed the broker's exam, she said that our vocabulary video she's like, that was over the top. In fact, I think I just said earlier that on the vocabulary video, she bought the video and none of her agents, they all have their license, so they're not taking the test. And she goes, can I give them the vocabulary video and tell them that they have to watch it? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So she told her agents they had to watch my vocabulary video because it was so informative. So just hang out with me and I'll get you guys past any state exam. All right, so I got to finish up this page. It says property managers must be familiar with rent control laws. Hi and welcome. And anytime you don't like something I'm saying and you just want to fast forward through it, you can fast forward and here still understand what it's saying. But the rent control laws in California are super crazy. So just be careful. Because I remember I had an agent working under me and she was showing an investor property. And I'm like, well, where are you showing him property and what's he investing for? And she goes, well, he's thinking about doing Airbnbs or just rental properties. And he wanted to be by the beach. And I said, so where are you showing him? And she goes, well, Santa Monica. And then she started saying other stuff. And I'm like, don't show him Santa Monica. What are you thinking? Santa Monica is the worst rent control area in California. I think rent control is a bunch of crap. You have to understand that if you look at the history of rent control, every time somebody puts rent control on landlords, what we do is we increase our rent all the time. So when there was not rent control, guess what? I didn't raise my rent ever. Like everybody that's ever lived in any of my properties, they move in, they're supposed to be there for a year. They end up being there for 3 or 4 years at the same amount of rent, because I wasn't being pressured by rent control telling me what I could and couldn't do with my property. So that when somebody moved out of my property, then I moved it up to the current rate. But what they're trying to tell us now is, okay, they tried to pass a law that said, if I have somebody that moves out at $900 a month, when I go to rent it to somebody else, I have to rent them the property at what I was renting to the other people. And it says, you met me at the grocery store a couple of weeks ago. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. How are you doing? At the grocery store outlet. Was that in Placentia? I can't believe you're on here. That's so cool. I love it. Anyway, I want to finish up this page so we can start in the other place. But now I might start doing it at night so you guys can watch it. Anyway, so property managers have to know about rent control and where you can and can't do that. Commercial, industrial, and luxury rentals are generally exempt from rent control. And then there's a term that I have never seen on the state exam, or for that matter, in many of the other books. This one says maturity, and it might be a good word to know, because maturity in property management means, I would say highlight when you have the book, the income on the property has stabilized. You're making enough cash flow and everything's great. And then it says the management contract. So what it's going to do is go in this book over the management contract. If you guys want anything or need anything, like you want to see a certain contract, because I am a CAR director and I'm part of the California Association of Realtors, if you need a contract, I can get you a contract. We're allowed to give out the contract as long as we have you sign a non-agency agreement. Because what happens is if I give you a contract, it has my name on the bottom and I don't want you using it somewhere. So I'm here to help you guys. That's all there is to it. So management contract, it's good business practice for a property manager managing properties for an owner to have a well-written contract. We do. It's on the CAR website. A well-written contract with the property owner that sets forth the responsibilities of both parties. You want to know who's doing what. And in the agency agreement, it talks about who's doing what. This should include the terms of the period of the contract, policies pertaining to management of the premises, management fees, and the powers granted to the agent by the owner. Because sometimes people go out of town and you need to be able to fix something if you have like a water leak. Property management contracts usually provide for the property manager to be compensated through a flat fee plus a percentage of the gross income. Now, it says that, but I got to tell you, I'm going to ask somebody. There's a guy named Scott Brady in Orange County, California, and he's like one of the top property managers. And I'm going to ask him about that because normally it's a flat fee. It's usually like, in California, it's really low. It could be anywhere from 4 to 7%. I know somebody that does 4%. It's 4% of the rent amount. So whatever your month-to-month rent is, let's say it's $2,500 a month, multiply that by 7%, and that could be your amount. When I had a property manager for my property in Texas, I was paying 25%. So 25% is pretty high. And it's probably higher because the rents were so much lower, if that makes sense, because they're not making that much. It's a higher percentage, but the rents are lower. But anyway, I've never seen where a property manager of residential property charges a percentage plus an additional percentage of the gross income. Usually anything that's a percentage of the gross income is on retail shopping center type things. So that was page 177. Thank you guys for joining. I think it's so cool. I know there's 9 of you and some of you have not given me a thumbs up yet. So please thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, subscribe, because if you want to learn about real estate and you want to build wealth and you want to become a realtor or a loan officer, I'm the person who's done it. I've been doing it and I've been teaching this stuff since 1990. So if you want to learn the right stuff, come over here. So on page 178, 179, all the way to 182, there's contracts that you could look at in this book that we're working out of. And if you want to know what book it is, just rewind me when we stop. Anyway, so thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. So what we'll do tomorrow night, or usually I try to do it around 4, but since so many people are joining in the evening, maybe I'll do it in the evening. I will, if you put comments in there, I'll definitely answer your comments as soon as they come up and make sure that I answer everything that you need. But we'll start on 182. Oh, it's so tempting to finish it. Should I finish it? Because then tomorrow we can do the summary, the questions and answers, and then go on to chapter 7. Let's do it. It says residential manager. Sorry, but we're going to keep going. Sharon, you're the girl for all things real estate. Thank you so much. I know I had to cut you off the other day on the phone, but maybe we should talk again. I'm the best in the game. Cool. Thank you. You guys are way too nice. I should do videos on skincare. So funny you should ask. I wanted to start doing anti-aging stuff. And I started going to a place in Pasadena. It's called Ben's Beauty. And I got really involved with Ben's Beauty. And I do red light and blue light therapy. So that's what I do. I do a machine on my face. And it really helps. All right, you can look at my old videos and see. Plus, I started doing other things. I'll share with you guys later when we're not doing this. I'm going to do my video of me making the drink I drink in the morning. Anyway, California law requires, let's get this done. California law requires rental units of 16 or more. People always ask that question. I think it's on the state exam for the brokers, maybe not the salespeople. If you have 16 or more units, you have to have an on-site manager. And an on-site manager is in the employment of the owner of the property management company or the owner. So owner or property management has to hire somebody who's living on the premises. So they're 24/7. Residential managers are tenants of the property who rent units, handle tenants, they handle complaints too, and maintain the premises. They are not required to have a real estate license. You need to know that. They are not required to have a real estate license. So the on-site residential manager does not need a real estate license to manage the property where he or she is living, but does need a license to manage other property. Okay, I know there's 9 of you. I need 2 more thumbs up. I don't know. I've never done this before where I kind of keep begging for them, but why not? Whatever, right? Anyway, minimum wage and hour laws for managers have an agreement. Apartment owners should prepare and sign a written employment contract agreement with each of their residential managers. Failure to comply with the statewide wage and hour laws can be financially devastating, as it has become commonplace for lawyers representing residential managers to sue for at least threaten damages ranging from $150,000 to $200,000. So, you know, a lot of people who have these big buildings, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to let you live in there for free and you don't have to have a real estate license and you're going to manage, but they sometimes don't pay you. And right here it says they have to pay you and California minimum wage. So now, because we finished everything, tomorrow we can do page 183, which is the summary, which is really good. I looked at the summary this morning. And then we'll do the questions and answers. And then we'll start on chapter 7, and we will get you guys through the principles book. And if you have any questions, just put them in my chat. I'm going to go on probably live and take some questions on TikTok and Instagram and all those ones. I try to do Facebook, but they bring it right in front of your face, and it's really horrible. Anyway, questions about skincare or real estate, feel free to reach me. Love that you guys have followed me. Thank you for the thumbs up, and I appreciate you. And hey, share me with other people because we all want to build wealth together. Bye. I knew it wasn't going to shut off the first time.